final exam as we have in statistics, or it will be equal weightage for all the weeks?
No difference in weightage. It will be uniform.
Okay, sir. Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Yeah.
Final exam as we have in statistics, or it will be equal weightage for all the weeks?
No difference in weightage.
So can we expect similar kind of hints as were there in the quizzes, the previous quizzes? Because those help us not to do silly mistakes actually.
Yeah. So yeah, that hints should be there. See, in case there are no hints, then that means they are not required, right? So if at all they are required, they will certainly be there.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Because I end up doing a lot of silly mistakes while doing those programming questions. So those hints help in avoiding those actually.
Right. Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
Sir, during the July 11th quiz, there was a special focus on like the modules. I mean, we did not need to memorize anything. So, if a special question would be asked regarding some module, the function of that would have been given. Will it be the same thing for the end term?
Yeah. You will. So there'll be no pressure on you to remember anything in terms of memory, like memory based stuff will not be there.
Okay,
but of course the usual. Yeah,
that makes it remarkably easy, I think, at least for me. So thanks, sir.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so welcome everyone to this session. So what we'll do today is it will be a mock test. Okay, so we will treat this please treat this like a mock exam, and it will be ideal if you are all in front of a desktop or a laptop. A mobile phone may also work, but it's easier if you are in front of a desktop or a laptop.
So what we have to do?
Yeah, I'll come to that. So you have to first log into this particular link, right? itempool.com/pipot/live. I will also paste this in the Zoom chat. Okay, and if someone asks, please keep pasting this in case any one of you happens to be free. So just log into that. It's not. I don't think you need to give. It'll be better if you can give your real name, but it doesn't matter. You can. It is anyway non-graded, so it's only a mock exam. So what we'll do is we'll treat. You will be. Currently, I don't think you'll see anything there. If you just log in, right, you will see a screen that says.
Questions coming. Questions coming is what it shows.
Yeah. Right. Question is coming, it shows, right? So just give me a second. I think I have. See, that live stream is also okay. That is unnecessary. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just give me a second. I will disable that live stream option. There is one. Okay. So it should show that the first question is coming.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. 1 second. I just share my screen also so that. Okay. So this is the first. So you don't need to see the first question or any question through this Zoom call, right? So the same question will be available using this link. So all that you have to do is get onto this particular link, and then you can just listen to whatever is happening via Zoom. So the first 1 hour, see, there are like 15 questions in this. Okay, so it will show that there are 24 items, but ignore the items part. What will happen is that there'll be 15 questions numbered from problem 1 all the way till problem 15, and first 1 hour it will be typical, it will be like a typical exam. Let's treat it that way. So I won't, you will get the answers right after you solve a problem, and some explanation will also be available to you. So you can look at that explanation, and let's not have any discussion for the first 1 hour. Let's just have it as an exam, right? So that's what I request all of you to follow. Okay, so every time I begin accepting answers, you'll be able to answer that particular question, which appears in this particular link. Okay, I hope it is clear. All right, so let's just get started. Maybe we'll take 2 to 3 minutes for each question. And
Sir, it still shows the question will be first question is coming soon in my screen.
okay, can you refresh? Can you refresh once?
Sure, sir. I'll try to refresh. Yeah, it's here. It's here. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have some 3 minutes, just so that I know that some of you will be able to finish it faster, but some of you might take time. So let's, in the interest of keeping it at a decent pace, let's just say 3 minutes per question. And so if I get enough number of responses here, right, then I'll just finish and reveal the answer. Okay. So we have like 14 responses now. Anyone needs more time, or shall we move on?
You can move on.
Okay, so I think we have enough responses. So what I'll do is I'll just reveal the answer. Okay, so the answer is 12. So 13 of you have given 12 as the answer. Okay, so some of you have given 14, one of you has given 16. Okay, right, so we'll come back to this. We'll come back to why this is not 14, why this is not 16. But currently you should be able to see an explanation pop up just before the question, rather the answer to the question. Right, so I would request you to also look at that explanation, because that's in some sense like the solution to this particular problem. Okay, so moving on, we'll come back to the discussion right at the end. Okay, so the next problem is live. So just one, just a point to note, this is a MSQ, right? Not MCQ. Okay, so I think we have received sufficient responses. So does anyone want more time, or shall I just reveal the answer? If you want more time, just post it in the chat if you want more time. If not, I'll just go ahead and reveal the answer. Okay, so I'll just okay, 1 minute. Okay, yeah, just one more minute then. Okay, so I think we have to move on now. Okay, so it appears as though a lot of you have selected two options as correct. Okay, so let's see what those two are. Okay, so a lot of you have considered options A and C. There is no confusion. There doesn't seem to be a lot of confusion there. Some of you, only 6 of you feel that B is correct.
Sir,
Yes.
would we also discuss the mock questions at the end?
Sorry, so this will be a test. So we'll discuss the solutions at the end to this exam. The other mock, the solutions will be provided soon. So that we may not be discussing in this. Okay, so this we'll come back to the solutions, but keep a note of this. We will see why B is also correct. Okay, so A, B, C are correct here. Okay, so I'll move on to the next question. Okay, so I'm going to release it now. Gain some 3 minutes for this question, 3-4 minutes.
So these are like practice questions, right?
Yeah, so this is like a mock exam. Okay, so I think it's time. I'm going to go ahead and close this particular problem. Right, so if you haven't sent in your response, please send it right away. Okay. Okay, so most of you are right. C is the correct answer. Some of you feel it's A. Okay, so keep this in mind. We'll come back to this when we discuss the solutions. Okay, you should be able to see the explanation below the problem. Maybe I'll just give you 10 seconds to read it. Okay, so let's move on then. The next problem is live.
So how do we see the solution again if you want to?
So what I will see, what will happen is at the end of the test, right? So we'll discuss all solutions, and then I will also release this the same thing that we did, right, in the form of a quiz. So I'll send it as a link. I'll paste it here in the chat. You can do it at your own pace later on. So all these questions will be available.
So like we would get it on the portal.
So if you want, we can also put it on the portal, but I will release it at the end of the session. I will just paste it in the chat here. Maybe I'll also do one discourse thread on this. I'll put it out there. Okay, so I'm going to end this particular question. So I request all those who haven't answered to just send in their submissions. Okay, I'm closing it. So let's see what you all. Okay, so A, C, D. It's been a very close contest. All three are correct. Some of you seem to have missed out on C. Some of you have seemed to have missed out on D, and it's in the order of difficulty. A is easier to find than C. C is easier to find than D. Okay, so we'll get back to the solution. So if you have read the explanation that comes below, I'll move on. Okay, so moving on, problem 5. So problem 5 is going to have 4 parts. So there's the first part is, 2 parts, 5.1 and 5.2. 5.1 is live. Okay, so I think most of you seem to have answered it. Does anyone need some more time? If you need, say 1 or 2 minutes more, please mention it in the chat. Okay, just 1 more minute then. Okay, so I think we'll have to move on. I'm going to reveal the answer now. Okay, let's see how many of you selected the correct answer. 21, and what's that? The answer is C. Okay, so that's nice. So 21 of you have given the right answer. So I'll move to 5.2. 5.2 will have the same class, so the class definition will not change. Only the code below will change. So don't go over the class definition again. It's the same class. And I will not be having too much time for this. Just say 2 to 3 minutes, because the rest of the code is already there for you.
Hello.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, so don't worry about the answer. Answer will we'll discuss the solution at the end. I'll get back to you. Okay, so I think we have to stop because this was more of a continuation of the previous question. So we have 5 different answers. Okay, let's see what 12 of you have given us the answer. That should, I'm hoping that should be the correct answer. Okay, so it's 2, 3, 6, 8, 4. 2 is the correct answer. Let's come back to it at the end. Okay, so I'm moving on. Don't worry if you haven't seen the explanation, that shouldn't matter. Okay, so there are like 5 parts to this problem. Okay, so the function will remain the same, and there will be 5 different parts to this problem. So we'll have a lot of time for problem 6.1, but for subsequent problems we'll have little lesser time. Okay. Okay, so it's very good to see that everyone has selected the correct answer, I believe. So let's go ahead and see what the answer is. Okay, so all of you have gotten this right. It's a good thing. So I'll move on to the next one. No explanation will be there. It will come right at the end. So since you have done this super fast, I would just maybe give 2 minutes for this, and then we can close this question also. So if you have really understood what the function is doing, then this should take you less than a minute. Okay, so I think it's time. I'm going to close this question and move on to the next one. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. So someone asked me to wait, but yeah, so see, if you have done the first one, then this should be, if you have understood the function, then this is like straightforward. So I'll move on to the next one. We have to be fast now, right? Again, so this is probably even lesser time. Say, really, I will stick to the 1 minute guideline here. Okay, so I'm going to close this because this is the third problem in the series. So by now, I think you should have figured out what the function is doing. All right, so most of you have the right answer here, and I'll quickly move on to the next one. Okay, so this is the last one in the series. Okay, so I think in time is up for this problem. I think can close this entire series of problems. Okay, and I am sure most of you have already understood what's happening here. Okay, so yeah, that's the right answer. Okay, so in the interest of time, we'll move on now. The explanation will always be available later on. Okay, next question is live. Okay, so I think that was a pretty straightforward question. So let's close this now. Let's see what the answer is. Okay, so it's D. All right, next one. Problem 8. So we have 15 problems totally. So we are done with nearly half the problems. Okay, so I think it's time to close this particular problem. So there are like 21, 26, 31, 31 responses. It's interesting. Like I think all 4 options have been given here. So I'm just going to go and reveal the answers. All right. So here they are. Wow. Okay. So a lot of you have given A, whereas the answer was B. Okay, so this is something we'll certainly have to revisit at the end. Okay, so yeah, but this is interesting, right? So we'll come back to this.
So this is where hint helps actually.
Right, yeah, but see, this is it's debatable. I would say this is how files operate fundamentally. So
So, but it suddenly it doesn't strike. I mean, now I understand why it is wrong.
right, yeah. Okay, but look out for these things. Okay, so
Yes, sir. Sure.
yeah. Okay, we'll move on to question number 9. Okay, so it's about time. So 21, 27 responses I've received, 28 or 30. Okay, so closing now. Okay, you guys seem to be doing last minute changes. Anyone wants more time or shall I close it? Okay, I think it's time to close. So let's see. Okay, a lot of you got question part A right. Part C also quite a few of you have. Okay, okay, so D was the confusion, right? So right, yeah, so that is expected, but we'll come back to that. Okay.
Sir, I can't see how C.
We'll come back to answers at the end. Okay, so this is problem 10. Shouldn't take you more time than like 2 minutes. Okay, so I have to close this because it's like a quick 1 minute kind of a question. You have to wrap it up within that time. Okay, so I'm going to reveal the answers. Okay, so that's the right answer. And some of you felt that there is syntax error in this. We'll come to that. Next one. 5 more problems to go, including this one.
So here when you say terminate, does it mean stop abruptly?
Yeah, so terminate doesn't, it doesn't go into an infinite loop. It
Okay.
shouldn't, yeah. Okay, I think we have spent enough time on this, I believe. So it's good to see that we have two contenders here going at 23 and 21. Okay, let's hope that they are the correct answers. So I'm going to finish and reveal now. Okay, that's a good sign. Most of you have got the right answer. B and C. So moving on, I think this is also a subpart question. So there are like 4 subparts to this also, I believe. So we'll spend like 5 minutes on the first subpart, and then progressively you should spend less and less time on the subsequent subparts. Okay, I think it's about time we close this question. All right, so I'm going to finish and reveal the answer. We have about 29 responses, now 30. So I think that should do. Okay, so most of you have obtained the correct answer, which is a good sign. Next one. It's also the same function, but different function call. Just 1 minute for this. Exactly 1 minute, and then I'll close it. Okay, I think you should have figured it out by now. Okay, I'm going to finish and reveal the answers, rather the answer. Okay, here we go. Okay, again, most of you have given the correct answer. Next one is also a follow-up to this. Again, same 1 minute. Okay, I think we shouldn't be taking more time than this. If you have figured out what the function is doing, then you must have obtained the answer by now. Right, so I am just going to go ahead and close it. Okay, so some of you have felt that the answer was D. We'll come to this. So two more subparts in this, 12.4 and 12.5. So 12.4, there's going to be only 30 seconds, right? We need to be really fast on this. By now, you should have understood exactly what the function is doing. Okay, I have to stick to my word and I'm going to close this now. Okay, yeah. So again, most of you have the right answer. This is the final part where you will get the explanation of what the function is actually doing. Okay, so I think now you're able to see it, what's happening in the function in case you hadn't figured it out earlier. So let's go ahead and see if it's right. Yeah. Okay, so last few problems, 13, 14, 15. This might take some time. So let's, some 5 minutes, by 8:30, we should be done with this problem. Okay, so I think we have to stop this particular problem now. We'll have to close it and move on to the next one. Right, I hope these 11 answers or these 12 answers point to the right one. This could be a bit tricky, so let's see what the answer is. Okay, that's nice. That's very nice. Those who have been able to crack this one, 129 is indeed the right answer. What is worrying is some of the other answers, but we'll get to that. Explanation will come soon. Last two questions. Okay, I think by now you should have figured out the answer to this. It's like either one option or the other option. There are only two possible ways of looking at it. I guess the way I see it. So I'm going to finish and reveal. It has to be this fast, right? Answering this question. Okay, some of you have selected option C as well. Right, we'll come to that. Okay, so this is the last problem. All right, so I think it should do. We'll just close the final question. So there will be one more question, which is a feedback question, really. So I request you all to answer that as well. So let's see what the answer is. Okay, so it's 10. We have few other answers as well. We'll get to that. So I just request you to so there by test I mean like the whole experience of this particular test. And once you finish it, we will just close and get to the answers. Okay, so I am hoping that this number is the number corresponds to something like 5 and not 1. Okay. All right. So that will be the end of the test. So I'll end the session and I'll go back to the we'll go back to. So do you want to view the results? Does anyone want to know who got highest marks and things like that, or shall we keep it private?
Let's keep it private.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll stop sharing and then I will open a new window. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is very quickly we'll go through some important questions. Okay, so here is the link for this. I'll also post this in discourse. Okay, so you can what you can do is you can later on you can just go ahead and attempt it as many times as you want. All right, so this, have I pasted it in the Zoom chat? Yeah, so that's the link. Anyone can access it. So name does not matter, but just for the sake of completeness. Okay, right. So see here what's happening is this is just tuple packing and then you unpack it. So 1 goes to var1, 2 goes to var2, 3 goes to var3, and then you just perform this computation. So it's 1 plus 2, 2 plus 3, 3 plus 1. So and then you just go ahead and you will get the answer as 12, right? So I don't want to spend too much time on simple questions, so I'll just move on. You can always figure these things out.
So could you please go back to the previous question?
Yeah.
So the only difference here is that if I write these all in each single line, what happens is it takes the previous value, whereas here it doesn't. That's the only difference, right? When you pack it up like this.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you had written it in separate lines, then it would have, that could have changed the answer. But here it's simultaneous assignment. So
correct. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So here, if I remember, see, I think I can go back to the results because it doesn't give me who did what. So as long as that is there, I am fine. Okay, so here 15, 15A, some of you had written B. Okay, 6 of you only had obtained B as the correct answer, right? So let's go back. So count last is counting the number of occurrences of the last character. Right, so option A, what it's doing, it's just going over the string word character by character. So this is clear. So it's incrementing count. So I would like to know why some of you felt option B is not correct. Anyone who had missed out on option B? Okay, see, notice what's happening is we are stopping short of the last character, right? So we are going only up to the penultimate character in the string word. So we go up to that. So because of that, we set count to 1 here. Notice the difference between option A and option B. In option A, we go all the way up to the end of the last character or up till the last character, but in option B, we stop short of the last character, but to compensate for that, we set count to 1. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Option C is anyway straightforward. You're just using the string method. All right, so it's A, B, and C. D is wrong because it will give you one more than the correct answer, right? So let's go to the next problem. How many did this? Okay, so the main confusion here seems to be option A. Okay, so again, what these lambda functions are doing is quite clear, I believe. This is returning the sum of squares. This is checking if the number x is an integer, perfect square or not. So nature is nothing but what is the nature of the right triangle formed by x, y, and square root of x square plus y square. Okay, so look at in the exam and in general, right? Look for hints in the variable names. Okay, sometimes they are very suggestive. Here that's nature would mean the nature of the right triangle. Is it a integer right triangle or is it a non-integer right triangle? Okay, so if you notice 3, 4, 5, that would be int right. 5, 12 would be int right, and these two would be non-int right. Right, so the correct answer is option C. Okay, so I leave this explanation to you in case someone has not followed because more challenging problems are ahead. So I'm moving on. Problem 4, let's see what happened. Yeah, I think here there was not much of a confusion, but option D could have been a bit cryptic for some of you. So any confusions there, or do you want me to explain, or shall we move on? Okay, I hope we can move on, right? So option A is correct because it's just going over each word and each character in that particular word and adding it to the set. Option B is wrong because sets do not have the append method, so we can straight away eliminate that. Option C is just creating one long sequence of words, and then it's doing the same thing of checking each character. And option D is doing nothing but converting each word into a set of characters and then taking the union with the current set. Okay, again, I leave it to the explanation given here in case someone has any doubts. 5.1. Okay, some of you have given other answers, but I think since most of you have given the correct answer, what it's doing is it's trying to find the point that is the maximum distance from the origin. Okay, well, what do we mean by distance? Distance here is defined by this. This is nothing but the difference in x coordinate plus difference in y coordinates, absolute value. By difference, I mean absolute value. So the point 5 comma 6 will be at a distance of 5 plus 6 or 11 from the origin. Okay, and look for clues here, right? So this should be very familiar by now. This is nothing but the usual maximum. So you're going through a loop, you're calculating the distance for each point from the origin, and if the distance happens to be greater than the current maximum, you update the maximum. Okay, so that's this problem. So stop me in case anyone is not following. I'll just quickly go on now. So what this is doing is nothing but the minimum distance between 2 points, right? So notice this: if d is less than the current minimum, you update minimum to d. Okay, and here it turns out to be 2. Okay, any questions so far? Anyone?
So point dot x, what meaning it conveys?
Sorry?
Sir, if you could explain this whole code line by line, it would be much understandable actually.
Yes.
You can tell me which line you didn't understand so that will be faster.
So point dot x operator.
Point dot x. Okay, can you tell me what is not clear about that?
So point dot x, I think will run one init function, and then self function is also initialized with that particular x.
Okay, so have you watched the lectures about concerning object-oriented programming?
Yes, I have watched it.
Okay, so I request you to maybe go over them once again, and also the graded assignments, right? Because we actually have questions. We actually have a GRPA that is very similar to this. If you have solved that, then this should be quite clear. There it was about translating a point where we have explicitly used things like this point dot x, point dot y, right? So others, have you actually come across this before, this class point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was in the graded assignments.
Yeah, so Priyanshu, I think Priyanshu, right? So see, it's the same problem in some sense. I have just changed, I just added one or two functions here. But apart from that, if you actually go to that problem, right, it's more or less the same thing.
Yeah, sir, I have already seen it in the graded assignment.
Yeah.
From there also I not get it, sir.
Okay, so I would request you to go over the solution again and spend some time on it, right? Because this is quite important, I would say, right? See, point dot x is nothing but the x attribute, the attribute named x for the object point, right? See, you are
The point dot x is only calls init function, is it?
no. Point dot x will not call the init function. Point of 1 comma 2. So you have to, if you want the init function to be called, you'll have to create an object of type point, right? So yeah, so I request you to what the suggestion is, just go over the lectures once more. Then you will understand when the constructor is called, when init is called, and so on. Okay, so in the interest of time,
sir,
yeah.
it's no, sir. I just I mean, if you at least explain the first iteration, then it might help him.
Yeah, so no, right. See, I get the point, but see, the question that Priyanshu is raising is more fundamental. Point dot x will not call the constructor, right? So, so I'll ask this, right? can you tell me where what point dot x means? Okay.
Actually, sir, here origin is for self and distance points, and then point is for points which we are calling. Am I right, sir?
See, origin is
Yes, in self, origin will go in the place of point. In distance, sir, in the place of point, origin will go, and in self, that points object will go.
okay. No, see, I think the origin point 1, 2, point 0, 4. These are all objects, right? And what will go into, see, there is nothing called self.
Yes, sir. All are objects.
Yeah, so there is nothing called self. There is the self refers to this particular object, right? It is
Origin.
so
Yes.
not just origin, but each object. So, for example,
Okay.
this object dot x will be 1, and this object dot 2, dot y will be 2, and so on, right? So, I would very strongly urge those of you who didn't get the right answer, right? So to this, please go back and watch the lectures, because see, this part I don't mind explaining, but at this stage you should be knowing this. If you don't know this, please right away go and try to understand what all this means, right? So see, whenever point
And sir,
yeah yeah
what does the line d is equal to p1 dot distance p2 mean? D is equal to p1 dot distance p2.
okay, can you tell me what it should mean?
Yes.
What do you think it is? See, P1 is, can you tell me what
P1 is
P1
taking
is?
from the it's it's a, from the list points, for loop is going for p1 is going in list points, so it would be the element 1, 2 or 0, 4, like that.
Okay, so if I say type of P1, what type will P1 be?
Tuple,
Tuple, is it?
maybe tuple.
Okay, see, what is the list? So what is the type of this thing here?
So it's calling object.
Right, so what is the type of this? I mean, is it a tuple, is it a list, or is it something else?
Int. Basically it's a class, but yeah, main int, or we can say it is a integer. It will return integer. Wait. No.
So this class will be a point only, na? It is a class object, no?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
type will be
so
class.
right, so it should be of, see, it will be of type class, right? So guys, this is very important, right? So if you, this should not be a point of confusion at all. What this is like the most fundamental thing in object oriented programming, right? And if this is not clear, then the rest of the code will be tough. I can understand that.
Sir,
Yeah,
I'm having one doubt. Can I ask?
yeah,
So these two for loops in bottom for P1 in points. Okay. So eventually we are picking one each and every object one by one. Then for P2 in points. So suppose I'm at first object 1, 2. I will iterate through all other objects. Correct?
yeah.
And then a P1 dot display equal to P2 dot display. Is this with respect to origin? This is I'm confusing.
Okay, so I will ask you another question here. So what do you think P1 dot display is doing?
P1 dot display, can you please take up? Scroll up. So it is going to returning this value self dot x and self dot y.
Okay, so
its own points, that is what are the points 1 and 2 are there. So here, if we see this point as 1, 2, so we have taken origin as x and 0. And so here we are not calculating, here we are simply displaying the value. P1 dot display is going to display the values of P1 object.
Correct. Okay.
So if it is displaying, means same object we are talking about, means P1 will be 1 comma 2, then P2 will be in a for loop. P1 will hold the first point, first object. P2 in the same points list will host initially the first object. So will that satisfy the condition, correct?
Yeah, so that won't
We are
satisfy
skipping
that.
that point. We are not considering that point.
Exactly. So we are skipping all points which are the
Same point.
same points. Yeah.
Yeah. And P1 dot distance is nothing but, if you see here, the P2 is working like a point and P1 is working like a self. So P2 and P1 distance between that two will be taking to D.
Correct. Correct.
Correct, na sir? Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Initially, I'm confused while solving that, but now I understood this.
Yeah. So I request everyone to, if see, since you have time, please run this code and observe what is happening, because this is a very simple class definition. Okay. It's like you are passing the object of the same class as an argument. All right. So the reason I'm not pressing for an explanation here is this is not new, right? I think you have solved the very same problem or something similar in the graded programming assignment. So this should be clear by now, right? So please go back and check it out. All right. So I'm moving on. Okay, this I think everyone who attempted it got it right. Okay, so I will just go to the straight to. Okay, this is what does it do? So yeah, so what it's doing is it's checking if this sequence is present in this. Okay, so I'll quickly go to the last point. In this case, it's present 1, and then we have 2, and then we have 3. I'll come back to this right at the end. So 1532, is it present here? No, it's not present. So it's false. 8, yeah, 8 is present. So it's true. Okay, so now, so this is what the function is doing. So if you get some question like this, right, where you are given a function and then you are asked to execute it, the easiest way of arriving at the answer is to understand what the function is doing. So I think some of you, what you would have done is you would have started calculating or processing this loop element by element or call by call. And that may not be the right thing to do sometimes. So this is what it's doing. So just to give you a quick idea, ignore the base case for now. Just concentrate on the recursive calls, right? So if the first element of the first sequence is equal to the first element of the second sequence, then what you're doing is you're shifting right by 1 unit in both the sequences, right? So if the first elements match, then you are shifting both sequences to the right by 1 unit. If not, then you retain the first sequence as it is, and then you look for a match in the second sequence by shifting it right by 1 unit. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Any questions here? Okay, I hope not. So in case there are any, we can even take it up on this course. Okay, problem 7. Did people have any? Okay, I think this all of you were able to solve this. All these are true. So option D is the right one. Okay, so all these represents the same They're all the same sets. Okay. Okay, problem 8 was a surprise because only 6 gave the correct answer and 15 went with A and 8 went with D. Okay, let's spend some time here. So any reason why these answers were given? Anyone who... So I can understand why some of you gave 21. That's because that's quite understandable. So...
Sir, I was not able to solve this.
Okay. See what
So,
is... Yeah, see what's happening is this is list comprehension, right? So this is week 11 list comprehension, functional programming. So that is the idea. What we are doing is, first look at this. We are opening the file in read mode and
this I understood, sir, that we are reading all the lines at once.
Yeah.
Then one by one, every line is just splitted and that is created as a list and we created a matrix.
Exactly.
That
Yeah.
I understood. Then yes is holding the very first value, that is 1 here.
Correct.
Correct. Then for I in range 1 to length of the matrix. Now length of the matrix means vertically.
Yeah,
it
3.
Will be 3. It will
Yeah.
be only 3. Now S is equal to S plus, we are adding, okay, I added IJ. Sorry.
Right. So the
Okay,
elements
sorry,
will be 1, 7 and 13, all diagonal elements, but of course it's not square, but still. So it will be string containing 1, string containing 7 and string containing 13. If you put them together, you will get 1713.
Okay, okay. It's simply a concatenation.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
added it. My mistake. Sorry.
Okay, so I hope this is fine.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir, this is string concatenation here because in the original CSV file, they are all treated as characters, right? These numbers.
Yeah, so even otherwise, right? So whenever you read a file, you will always get a string as... you always process files as strings. There is no escaping that. Unless you explicitly typecast them to integers, they will always be strings.
Yes, sir. This was a nice problem.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I got this wrong too. Yeah.
Without paying deep attention, you cannot guess that it's a concatenation.
Yeah, so it's trick.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So the split function also gives out an string. I mean, the list will be a string for a split function.
Yeah, so split. If you split this based on comma, you will get a list of strings.
Okay. Okay.
Right. In fact, split will always return a list of strings, right? Because split is a string method.
Yeah.
And it will be a list of strings always, unless you explicitly convert them to int.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so problem 9 is this is the series. I think this also there was option A. Everyone was able. Almost all of you got it right. And okay, so there is a lot of confusion with C and D. Okay, so A I am not going to explain because it's just basic while loop. You have to just follow and the difference increases by 1 each time. And so A is quite clear. B, did anyone give B as... Okay, nobody gave B as the answer. So note that it should hold for any value of n, not just first 5 or first 4, whatever. So why is C correct? So why is C correct? Notice that again the names are very suggestive, right? You must, whenever possible, look at the names of the function. So term of n is going to give the nth term in the series. And what is the nth term? If n is 1, then it is just the first term, so return 1. If not, you return the n minus 1th term and add, rather you add n minus 1 to the n minus 1th term. Okay, so the logic could be simple. So if you go here, the third term in the series is nothing but previous term plus 3 minus 1, right? The fourth term in the series is nothing but the previous term plus 4 minus 1. Okay, so that's the basic idea here. So this should be clear now. So series sum, what it's doing is just generating this list of terms and then calculating their sum. So it's calculating the I, so it's populating the ith term in the series. So I goes from 1 to n, and then it's summing up the whole thing. That's why C is correct. C is also valid. All right. So don't get confused by these extra functions, right? So the presence of this extra function doesn't make this wrong. What you must focus on is, does series sum of n return the sum of first n terms?
Sir, sorry to disturb.
Yeah.
This definition of term n, and it is return term n minus 1 plus n minus 1. We are making it recursive, and we are adding n minus 1 into that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I wanted to ask now, suppose n is equal to 3. So
Okay.
it will be term of 2 plus 2.
Yeah.
So the answer will be, now how the answer will be considered? This is quite a little bit confusing.
Okay. See, you have to take the concrete examples to arrive at the recursive definition, right? So
Okay.
look at how the pattern is. So second term is computed by adding 1 to the previous term. Third term is computed by adding 2 to the previous term. So term 3, then you add 3 minus
that you
1.
explaining with this example that I got, but in code, particularly that line, term of n minus 1 plus n minus 1. So we are passing only n minus 1 into the recursively, and we are adding n minus 1 to that.
Correct.
So is it we are not passing n minus 1 plus n minus 1, that we are not passing. We are passing only n minus 1. But on top of that, we are adding n plus n minus 1 to that.
No, see, term of n minus 1 is what? It's the n minus 1th term, right?
How?
To that, you are adding n minus 1. So, see, term of n minus 1 is nothing but the previous term, right? So, look at this. This is the previous term. To that, I add 5 minus 1. So, term of n minus 1, you should treat it that way.
Term of n minus 1 will be 7. 7 minus 1 is 6. And 6 plus we are adding n minus 1. 6, that should be 12. Then how it is 11?
No. Term of n minus 1, not n minus 1. What is term of n minus 1? It's 7.
Oh, yeah.
7 is term of n minus 1. And
yes.
then n minus 1 is nothing but 4. So 7 plus 4.
Okay.
Okay, so that is option C, and option D is actually returning just the nth term of the series and not the sum. So that's why option D is wrong.
Okay.
Okay, I hope that is clear.
Can you just explain the D one? I mean, I selected option D, I think.
D, huh?
Yeah. Why is it wrong?
See, D is nothing but the nth term, right? If you notice, term of n and this is the same, right? Notice the definition.
Yeah.
You are only computing the nth term and not the sum.
Okay, it's not the sum. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, so that is the option A and C are the correct ones. Okay, so next one, 10. Okay, this is, I'm skipping this because this is like explanation is provided. So it's 1110. It's quite detailed, so you can go through that. Option 11. When does this code terminate? Okay, how many got this correct?
So can you send the link of this quiz?
Sorry? B and C is the answer, not the answers. So A and D have also caused confusion. Okay, see here what's happening is you are, whenever you take a key in the dictionary P, you are updating the key by its value. Okay, so if you start with 1.
So,
sorry?
So the link of the test that was given, it's actually not working. So how would we access the test?
See, it is see, check out the chat. No?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So we start with key to be 1. Initially, length of S is 0 because the set is empty. And length of P will be the number of keys in P. So 6. So 0 less than 6, you add 1 to S.
क्या हो गया?
Okay. So
लगे
now,
मुझे पापा है.
hello, guys, please mute. So P of key is what? P of key is 2, and key becomes 2. Okay, so in the next iteration, you add 2 to the set. Now key becomes 3 because P of 2 is 3. So you add 2 to it, you add 3 to it in the next iteration, and P of 3 will be 1. Okay, so key becomes 1. So when key becomes 1, you again start with 1, right? So it's like you go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 1, and then you go back to 1. So you are in this never-ending cycle of 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 1, and back to 1, right? So that's why this loop will never terminate for P equal to these values. Same with D. So you go from 1 to 3, 3 to 5, and then 5 to 6. Okay, am I missing something? This also doesn't terminate, right? What is the...
6 to 1, sir. 6 to 1, and then again it goes to 3.
Oh, okay. So 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 1, and yeah. So that is like 1, 3, 5, 6, right? So that is 4 in number, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we have 6 as the length of P, but we only have 1, 3, 5, 6, 4 as length of S, I believe. Okay, so that's why option B doesn't terminate. B and C terminate because length of S becomes length of P. You go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. By the time you hit length of P, which is 6, you have added all the keys here. So in this case, it will be 5. In this case, the number of keys will be 6. Okay, so this can be a bit confusing. I hope you sort it out, right?
There was a very similar question in CT end term, I remember.
Right, yeah. So these questions, you just have to do this monotonous work of actually computing these things, right? So unless there are no other questions, I will... Again, this is like a series of... Okay, so I'll straight away go to what this function is doing, skipping all these things. So here 0, 2 is the minimum, right? So here it is 0, 0. And here it's none, none. Okay, so now let me probably take an example. See, what it's doing is L is a list of tuples, as you can see, of integers, a pair of integers basically. And the first for loop is calculating the minimum pair in some sense. So what do we mean by minimum? It is that pair of elements such that it is both the first coordinate and the second coordinate are correspondingly lesser than the first and second coordinate in x min and y min. Okay, so you start with 1 and 10 in this case, and then you update x min and y min only when x comma y is less than or equal to x min and y min, right? So in this case, you can see that. So one way to quickly find that out is you look for the first index here. So you notice that 0 is the smallest first index. Okay, and likewise 0 is the smallest second index. Okay, but unfortunately here 0 comma 0 is not an element, right? So if you actually go through the second loop, that will give you a count which is not equal to the length of the list, because there will be some element for which the either x value or y value is, doesn't satisfy this inequality. Okay, so in this case, for example, 0, 2 and 2, 0 are typical cases, right? So in that case, you will return none, none. If you cannot find a minimum, if you can find a minimum, you will return that x min, y min. So for example, here it's none, none, whereas here it was 0, 0, right? So 0, first element is less than or equal to the first element, first index in all the pairs, and the second one is less than the second index in all the pairs. Another example is 0, 2 here. Okay, so and that's what this is. This is just a rephrasing of whatever this function is supposed to do. Okay, any questions? I think this is...
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
Although I understood the logic behind the code, what I couldn't understand is why the purpose of count is there. Like, why are you counting the... what is the reason for this count?
Okay, see, the reason count is there is, if you don't count and if you just return x min, y min, right? There is no guarantee that that is the minimum element in the tuple. So I am counting it just to be sure that there is even a minimum element or not.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you propose to do if you don't count? I will ask that question. That's a counter question. If you get rid of count, then what do you propose to return?
Okay.
Okay, so the reason count is there is you just want to see if there is some pair of elements a comma b in the list which is index wise less than all the elements in that list.
Okay.
Okay, and without count, maybe there is a way, but I don't see it at least now.
Even though count may not be there, but still it will be returning the x minimum, y minimum, right? Because like ultimately it will be the x. If you are taking x min, y min pairwise, then it will be the minimum pair. Because odd is not there, so like we don't need actually count here.
Yeah, but see, you will, if you return only x min and y min, right? There is no guarantee that it is the minimum element. See, every list need not have a minimum element, right? So that is the point. For example, this list doesn't have the notion of a minimum element because there is no single pair which is index. I mean, for every index, it is less than or equal to all other pairs.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So here, if we see here, very first value is 1, 10.
Right.
And founds x and y next 1, 1 are less than 1, 10. Less than or equal to. So that satisfies the condition. So now new minimum is this one. X min is 1 and y min is 1.
Right.
Correct. Now for all remaining cases, all other pairs are not satisfying this condition.
Correct. Yeah.
So we are incrementing count only when we found that value less than 1.
Right.
Okay. And if that count is equal to length of L, then in that case we will be returning. Can you please clarify this logic, what you wanted to implement? I was able to give correct answer for 2-3 cases, then for 2-3 cases I jumbled. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, see the notion of minimum here is a pair x comma y is the minimum in the tuple. Sorry, a minimum
Yes,
in the
the
list.
minimum tuple pair should be minimum.
Yeah,
not only one value.
Yeah, when do we call that minimum? Only when it is less than or equal to x comma y index wise, right? For every pair in the list.
Yeah.
When that happens, count will be equal to the length of the list, because that is when it will happen, right? You can have a minimum only when x min comma y min is less than or equal to x comma y for every such x comma y in the list L. So in that case, count will be equal to the length of the list, right?
But sir, here we found only one value, na, which is less than that.
Yeah, so
Single
count will
value.
not
So
be
here
equal
count will
to,
be here count will be equal to one only.
yeah, it won't be equal to length of L, which is why you say that there is none comma none.
Okay. Okay. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
yeah, so
Got it.
all right, so this is problem. Okay, this could be, so how many, this yield thing has yielded the least number of answers. It has yielded the most number of answers. So I'm curious to know what these answers are. 0, any explanation for 0, 9, 10, 6, 4?
Sir, I made a mistake here.
Okay.
That 10 was given. I thought that the number divided by 2, remainder is 0. So I thought that it will be divided by 2, 4, 6. So it will not be divided by 3, 5, 7, and 9. So I counted that. Actually, I rushed into and I gave the answer equal to 4.
Okay.
So I mistake.
Okay, right.
Because
So
I didn't attend lecture when this generate and yield was taught now. So I was
okay.
not able to catch this. That's my mistake.
Okay, right. So see, this is this when you see something like this, go block by block, and sometimes if you do it that way, it might be clear. See, you have to consider this block at a time. So what this is doing is this is generating prime numbers, right? So this should be familiar to you. Flag is true, and then you check from 2 to that number minus 1.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right. If
Sir,
any
here it is 2 comma 2. In that case, does it consider 2? Like when num is 2?
no, it will be an empty sequence. So range of 2 comma 2, it will not even enter the loop.
Yeah.
But thankfully flag is true. So if flag, you will yield 2. You will start with 2.
Okay. I got stuck there actually. I wasn't able to understand what it would do then.
Okay, so for the future, right? So if num is less than, if you have range of a comma b,
Yeah.
and b is less than a, this will be an empty sequence. It will not throw an error. It will just not go. It will have nothing to iterate over. There will be no sequence basically.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay. Of course, range of a comma b comma c is a different thing. So if you have range of 10 comma 5 comma minus 1, that is a different thing. But if you have range of say 10 comma 5 or 10 comma 10, then this will be an empty sequence.
Okay, sir. So it doesn't enter at all, and then it waits for the next number to come.
Yeah, it doesn't enter. It will, in this case, flag will be still true, so it will yield 2, and then next time you call next, it will start from where it left off. So num will be 3, and then go.
Fine, sir.
Okay, so it's this is basically calculating the sum of first 10 prime numbers, which happens to be 129. Okay, so once you figure that out, it's just a matter of calculating. Okay, so I'm moving on. We have 2 more questions. This should again be, this is again, see, B I can understand, A, B, C, D, E, but I don't understand why C is, some of you have selected C. Okay, so please understand that, see here the variable name is misleading. You are not going to take the whole string. You are going to iterate through the string character by character, and since you don't have a /n, you end up writing all the characters on the same line. Okay, so that is this. That is the only catch in this problem. Right. So I request all of you to be careful about this. Right. So see, we had these options to trick you, but you should not get tricked by these things. At least at this stage, you must be. Everyone must be able to answer this. Right. It's like, but I can understand without the terminal, sometimes it gets tough. So, okay, so final question. See how many answer this. Okay, 25, but there are like many other answers. So anyone who got a different answer would like to explain what was their thought process? Okay. Okay, so if not, what's happening here is you are trying to add a key called num, or rather not add, but you're trying to update the value of a key num in the dictionary P. Okay. So if the key is not there, if num is not there, then it will throw a key error because you can't update a key which is not non-existent, right? You have to first create the key and the corresponding value, only then can you update. So when you first go over this list numbers, right, when you try to do p of 1 plus equal to 1, it will throw a key error, and that will be caught by your except key error. And p of 1 equal to 1, you will get p of 1 equal to 1. Okay, so next time same thing will happen. P of 10 plus equal to 1, 10 is not there, so you go to this except block, p of 10 becomes 1. Then likewise p of 2 becomes 1. When you go to p of 1, p of 1 is already there. Okay, so p of 1 becomes 2 and so on. Right, so p is nothing but the frequency of numbers in the dictionary. That's what p is. And this list is giving you the sum of frequencies of all the numbers, all unique numbers in the dictionary P, or in the list numbers. So what would that be? 1, 10, 2, and 5. What is the frequency of these numbers? That is what will be stored in the list, and you are just calculating that sum. In fact, a shorter way to understand this is, it's just the number of elements in this list numbers. Right, so do you see it? See, this is a list of frequencies of the unique numbers or distinct numbers, which is nothing but the total number of elements in the list. Okay, which is 10. You don't even need to calculate anything else.
What's the need of that except key error? Sorry.
Sorry, what is the?
Yeah, that line. I mean, except key error. Is it when you are not having a numeric? Is that what we are looking at, or?
No, not having this particular key in the dictionary, right? So the key named 1, or rather the key with value 1 is not found in the dictionary. So you will get a key error, and that will direct you to this line.
Okay, got it. Sorry. Thanks.
Okay, so yeah, that is the end of this. I will be biased and I'll rate it as 5, but you are free to give any other rating. Okay, so you can restart and try this out any number of times you want, just to go over it. All right, so that's roughly what I had. So
Sir, please share that link for today's quizzes that you conducted.
yeah, so this is the link. So
okay, will it be live thereafter also?
Yeah, it won't. Yeah, this won't be closed, so it will remain open until.
One thing I just want to say, like, in case of set, like I was quite sure that append method is not there, but like there should be some sort of mention, like we can get confused, like whether a function is there or not, because there are so many functions.
See, it won't be. See, all esoteric functions like pop item and all we won't use, right? So, but zoom, sorry, not zoom. What is this? Up and add. See, up and add.
Append exist in set or not? Was a confusion which I faced. Like, There can be like similar to add which it can do, but
Okay, I
like
get. Yeah, I understand your concern, but yeah, I mean, see, mostly we won't stretch it beyond this, right? So you can be assured of
actually I
that.
don't use set methods many times. Like we use only set operators what I use. So actually I don't remember the methods most of the time.
Okay, okay. Right, right. Yeah, so yeah, so I mostly you won't face that trouble, right? So I don't think you need to worry a lot about this. Okay, so
Okay.
all right, so I think that's
Final tips which you want to give.
okay. Final tips. Final tips. I don't know, boss. Like do your best. More than that, it's the usual thing, right? You have seen quiz one, quiz two, and
Yeah.
it will be along the same lines. Again, if you can complete the simpler questions first, in some sense, that would give you a lead. But this is not like our what programming exam we had, right? So it's like
Like
number of
one and
questions
a
will be.
half hour is like enough, I believe.
Sorry.
But 1.5 hour is
Yeah.
enough. Like I.
Right, right. Yeah, one it should be right. So yeah, I think it's time to I think wind up. So I really thank all of you for being a part of the entire course, right? So sometimes it's we need
One more
to.
thing, I had a request. Like, kindly, the book was very fantastic. Like, could you just update the other portions? If not, I mean, till the exam, after the exam, like, could you just like the oops portion and like the further portions? Can you like?
Yeah, sure. So I started working on the object-oriented programming part. It's unfortunate that I couldn't complete it before the exam. But before PDSA, the next course in diploma begins. So mostly it will be out by then, right? So see, the what I wanted to tell was, see, sometimes it's not just about uh, the instructors alone being out there, right? It's also about students being very actively engaged in the course. For example, some of you I have seen, I've been seeing you for from the first session. I don't think you have missed even a single session. For example, even Aditya, Pritodeep, Sunita, and Puneet. I have seen some of you attend probably every session, and that shows great commitment on your side as well. And it's good to see familiar faces. Okay, familiar Zoom IDs at least. Even though we don't get to see each other, it's sometimes good to see the people who consistently attend these sessions, and even on Fridays, weekends. So this is like 9:30 in the night. So yeah, so that is something I am really happy about. Right. So
Yes, sir. Thank you.
yeah. So thanks,
And
guys.
you were
So
among the best instructors. Like in the Python course, like the in the last course, the CT, there was like I believe the Omkar sir was the best. Which I interacted. Okay, and in this course, like I believe like you were the best, which I found.
okay, right. Thanks, thanks, man. So think yeah. So all instructors, I think we try to do our best. So I think you have also been a very good set of students and for the success of the program, I think we all need to really like work together. So
Also, I'm hoping that we get Professor Iyengar in one of our future courses as well. He was great.
right. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for all your help.
Yeah, sure. So
Yes, sir.
yeah, so some of you have asked me if the scores can be somehow made available. See, the point is, I'm finding it difficult to extract the scores it's in some weird form. Yeah, so one thing you can all do is you can go back and try the quiz again. That way you will get to know your scores.
So, but now we know the answers.
Yeah, I get it. If you can recreate that setup, right, whatever you did, and that may be a bit not the right thing to do, but it's somehow not showing me who got. It's showing me individual answers, but the consolidated scores, unfortunately, it's not telling me what it is.
Sir, maybe in the details tab, there was a details tab beside.
Yeah, it's giving me individual question points, so I'll have to download the CSV and process it.
Yeah, do some Python programming.
Yeah, exactly. We need to write a script to extract. Yeah, so one last question, I think which Aditya brought up, I just want to ask others. So others, did you find the book, online textbook useful? Did anyone go through that, or do you think it can be made better or in some other form?
It was useful, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I went through it regularly, sir, like right before exams and all. It was good for quick revision.
All right, okay.
I used it
Whatever
for
I scored
troubleshooting,
is
sir,
only
whenever
because
I
of
had a
that book, sir.
problem.
Hello, sir.
All right,
Whatever I
okay.
scored is only because of that book, sir.
Okay,
That is
right.
really nice, sir.
Right, thanks. Okay, so that's something I wanted to know because how useful that is, and
So instead of watching so many videos, that's really an abstract, very important points are very well given in that book.
all
It's
right,
very,
okay.
very organized.
Okay. Right. So thanks everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you,
And
sir. Thank you so much.
so yeah, so yes, I still do use Typora. So this Typora is still something I use. I'm a big fan of Markdown, and I think you guys should also, in case any one of you is in that line where you need to create professional documents for mathematics or engineering related activities, I would strongly recommend you to try Markdown because it can save a lot of time. Right. Anyway, so I think the time has come to close the session. So all the best, guys. I hope to meet some of you, most of you, next in upcoming courses. Let's see how it goes. But until then, I think it's going to be goodbye. Right. So
Sir,
yeah.
one question I have. Sir, I may not be taking any of the Python related courses in the next term because I have a couple of other foundational courses left. So do you suggest us to keep abreast with this Python and we don't forget all the programming things that we've learned so far? Do you suggest some tricks to do, or should we keep coding regularly? How should we do that? Because I'm a beginner in Python.
Yeah, so yeah, it's always not just for, I would say, Python, but for every subject if that's possible. But especially for Python, see, one thing you could do is keep. I think the course will be open even after you complete it. I think the course should be open. So what we could do is we could. Yeah, you could periodically go back to the GRPs, but again that will be the same kind of question, so there's no point doing the same question again and again. What alternatives do we have?
Because I don't want to forget this, because I believe the later on courses are very heavy on Python and other things.
Right. See, I see there are like these websites like Code Forces, Code Chef, and things like that.
Okay.
But the problem with some of them, at least, is that they require knowledge of algorithms. Like you need to go through this course called PDSA, diploma level course.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And unless you do that, you will end up getting lost in the ocean of problems that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so this is a good question, I would say. It's like I don't have an immediate answer other than the fact that you can go and repeat those GRPS and PPS.
Okay. Periodically go and revisit them.
Yeah, so this is, see, in for any other subject, that's the soundest advice, because I don't know if you know this concept called spaced repetition. So the spaced repetition is a learning technique where you periodically revisit things you have learned, but the interval keeps increasing. So for example, if you studied, say in Max 2, you studied limits on the 1st of January, then 7th you revisit limits, say 21st, then you revisit limits, and then you skip a month, and then March 1st is when you go back to that concept. So the interval in which you revise keeps increasing.
Okay.
But for Python, I don't think I think the best way would be to take up some projects if you can.
Okay.
Projects in the sense, not like very advanced, but simple scripting projects you must be able to, take it up, so that you do something interesting, and in the process you brush up whatever concepts. You always keep in touch with the language.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah, but we will come back with a more
Sir, can
better
you
response.
suggest some sites or?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, right, there are lots of sites like Code Forces, Code Chef, Geeks for Geeks. These are all good places to practice programming, but the only problem is the problems, right? The choice of problems. See, in what sequence do you select problems? If you come up against some very tough problem in the first attempt, right, you may get disillusioned by the whole thing. So someone needs to select the right kind of problems to you, right? So that's why I'm not like right away telling you to go to these websites. The choice of problems also matters.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I just wanted to ask a query regarding discourse.
Yeah.
I saw that students who are not subscribed to particular course don't have access to the discourse thread for that course. I would like to request that our access for these courses, like if they can be kept for at least one more month, and this is especially relevant for the Python course because a few of the threads were like excellent,
Sorry,
especially these from the professor's desk.
Sorry
Right,
to interrupt, but these things are already there. Like in the CT course, also you can access the course again.
I'm talking about discourse threads, a discourse forum, not the course portal itself.
Okay, yeah, we will look at it, right? So I'll have to check with JK sir also on this.
Yeah, because like some of the questions that Professor Iyengar posted there, they were quite advanced. So maybe after I'm done with the exams and all, maybe I can go and revisit them and try and solve them if possible. So yeah, that's just a request. If possible, can you do it?
Sure. Yeah, we'll check and get back.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So unless there are any other queries, I think it's time to close. So once again, thanks for being a part of this course. It was wonderful having all of you here, and hope you all do a good job in the final exam and for the rest of your stay in this program. Okay. Yeah. So thanks, guys. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night. Yeah. Closing the session.
Thank you so much.